Hey, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name's Olivia and I'm a gender affirming voice teacher. And in this video, I'm going to be debunking 3 myths that I hear kind of floating around about vocal feminization. So I think this will be helpful whether you're just starting your voice training or if you're in the middle of it. So let's get started. Myth number 1, you have to have a high-pitched voice in order to sound feminine. So while raising pitch is definitely a component of vocal feminization, it is definitely not the end-all, be-all element for voice training. In fact, when I work with clients, it's actually not the first thing that I start with. I generally start with resonance because resonance really can alter the perception of your voice even more so than pitch. I'm not saying that pitch is not important at all, but once you start to get to know your voice and starting to kind of play around with resonance, changing your pitch can often be easier that way. And starting with resonance can also kind of give you a little bit more bang for your buck in terms of kind of giving you a little bit more of a change in your voice that is going to be a little bit more sustainable. A good rule of thumb in terms of pitch is to kind of shoot for around 165 hertz, or that's about an E3. Generally, we perceive that pitch range and up to be feminine. But that doesn't mean that voices that are lower than an E3 or that dip lower when you inflect are going to necessarily be perceived any other way than feminine. It's just a framework to go off of. The other elements of vocal feminization, resonance, vocal weight, inflection, articulation, all these things, they can do a lot of heavy lifting. So even if you're dipping down lower, if you have some of those other elements in place, you still may have a feminine perceived voice. So while pitch is not something to completely ignore, that's not what I'm saying. But I do think that it's important to note that you don't have to be up at 220 hertz in order to be perceived as feminine. Myth number 2, some people can voice train, others cannot. So this is just not true. Just like anything else, voice training is a skill. So some people are going to be more adept at working on voice training. Maybe they're more in tune with the sensations in their body associated with their voice. Maybe they've had some experience as a singer. But that doesn't mean if you don't have that experience that you cannot learn to change your voice. I feel like people have this idea about singers, people who use their voice generally, that either you're good, you're talented at singing, or you're just not and you can't do it. And that's, again, just not true. Singers who are well established in their career are working with vocal coaches, making sure their technique is right, working on specific, ways to sing certain songs. It's an endless pursuit, really. And I can tell you this as a professional singer and a singing teacher, that I continue to take voice lessons so that I can continue to work on my technique. So the same is true with voice training. With practice, learning these techniques, you absolutely can learn to find a voice that resonates with you. It's really like, you make a lot of different sounds as you're chatting all day. That you probably don't even realize. So a lot of the things that you work on, you're already doing at certain moments throughout your day, but it's really about harnessing those certain things and, creating habits around them. Myth number 3, feminine voices are soft. So in this context, I'm talking about soft as in low volume, and you definitely don't have to have a soft sounding voice in order to have a feminine voice. So it's interesting because as you start to work on some of these elements of vocal feminization, like a lighter vocal weight or forward resonance, a lot of what can happen is that the voice will feel, lighter and softer in your body and be softer in terms of volume. So when you're taking out some of that pressure, some of that heaviness in the voice, if you want to build up that volume again, you have to work on projection. So projection is, when you are wanting to maintain your light vocal weight, your forward resonance, those things, you want your breath to really be coming from your belly rather than projecting in a tense way from your throat. So when you're projecting kind of tensely from here, that's going to add vocal weight. So that's a lot of my clients will struggle with that, how can I make my voice louder, but still maintain the light qualities that I'm looking for. So it's definitely possible to, still have a light and forward voice, but a voice that's not a whisper. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments what you think and if you have some other myths that you want me to talk about. As always, if you're interested in trying a consultation with me or a group class, there is a link down in the description. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next video.